Hello friends and neighbors, Joe Musso coming at you with video number 3 of the 7-part video series we're calling A Clear Vision of Easter. And I want to welcome you into my backyard. Last video we looked at who God was and how he operated in the world, especially as it pertained to the gospel. For this video, we need to understand why the gospel is even necessary. And to do that, we have to look at the condition of man. And to look at the condition of man, we have to go back all the way to the beginning of the world, to the 6th day of creation, when God creates man and gives him very specific instructions. He tells him to not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and if he does, he will surely die. Well, as we all know, Adam and Eve both eat of the tree, and because of that, sin and death have reigned in our world ever since. And unfortunately for us, even though we didn't make that decision, Adam has passed on that same sinful nature from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation, right on down to us, and we've inherited that. And if you don't believe that, anytime that you decide you want to tell a little white lie, anytime that you decide to be a little bit prideful or a little bit hateful or jealous of something, those are all that sinful nature. Those are all proof that that sinful nature is inside of you. And according to Colossians, that sinful nature has made us an enemy of God, it's made us hostile towards God, and it's alienated us from God. And you might think to yourselves, well, I don't hate God, I'm not an enemy of God. Well, the fact that you may have told a little white lie, or the fact that you may have hated somebody, or the fact that you may have been jealous of something, those are all things that have separated you from God and shown that you are a sinful being. Now, I know there's people out there that think, well, I'm a good person. I go to church. I've done everything my church has told me to do. I have given to charitable causes. I've volunteered my time, and those are all great things, and I don't want to take that, but when it comes to the story of the gospel, they're absolutely meaningless. Why? Because the Bible says there is no good person. There's nobody that's righteous, not even one. That's what Romans 3 tells us. Romans 3 even says everyone has sinned and fallen short of God's standards or God's glory. And as we looked at from the last video, that when we are sinning, even if it's a white lie, God has to enact his justice upon that sin, and that means an eternity in hell. And this is where we find another one of the most beautiful verses in the Bible. And it says this, it's Romans 5:8. God demonstrates his own love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, when we were still enemies of God, when we were still hostile towards God, Christ died for us. Why? Because he loves us. He wanted to show us his love. And as we talked about in the last video, there you are standing before the judge, and he's about to pronounce judgment upon you and sentence you, and all of a sudden it's like Jesus says, I've taken your place. And that's the gospel right there, that we at one point were an enemy of God, separated from God because of our sin. But now, because Christ decided to demonstrate his own love for us and die for us, we can now be reunited with God and spend eternity with him. Again, I hope these videos are a blessing to you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless you richly.